This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Okay, so apparently, according to Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's top choice as an interim fight while he waits for Oleksandr Usyk. Of course, Oleksandr Usyk is defending his country, Ukraine, against Russia currently. An interim fight, the top choice would be Deontay Wilder. Now, of course, the other choices that apparently Anthony Joshua has been talking about will be Joyce. Great domestic fight right there. And of course, two southpaws. Go check out a previous video of mine when I said if Anthony Joshua does have an interim fight, it should be against either Otto Wallin or Luis Ortiz. Two southpaws. Keep with that southpaw. So when Usyk comes back, and hopefully he does, and listen, you never know, but hopefully he does, he's been in the ring with another southpaw. So he's not going back to the orthodox, he's continuing with the southpaw style. That's why I said Ortiz and Otto Wallin. And if I was Joshua, I'd probably take the easier of the two, which would be Luis Ortiz. Personally. But anyway, apparently Wilder is the top choice. Now, we're going to talk about that in a second, and of course some of the historical things that's been going on between them. But Anthony Joshua responded to people or somebody on Twitter, on their social media, and he said this: "Need I say more? Let's put this AJ Duct saga to rest. I respect Wilder. He's a good fighter. He just wasn't ready to fight me. If you don't believe me, see below." And he put a screenshot below of what Deontay Wilder said before, when Deontay Wilder was trying to get Fury to agree to the third fight. Remember when Fury was trying to walk away from the third fight? Wilder took to social media and said this: "When that fight was a draw, I told you I would give you a rematch. You know I was offered more money to fight Joshua than I was getting to fight you. Again, being a man of my word, I fought you." So there you go. Now, I've covered this subject in videos and that before. Yeah, Wilder has admitted that he took less money to fight Tyson Fury than what he was offered to fight Joshua. What money was he offered to fight Joshua? 100 million for 2 fights against Anthony Joshua. The first one being in the United States of America. Or he could have had a 3-fight deal for 120 million, take care of his current mandatory at that time, which was Dominic Brazil, so get 20 million for that one, and 2 fights with Anthony Joshua. Again, of course, the stipulation was that you fight on DAZN. Wilder is a free agent. He can do that. Lou DiBella set up the whole meeting. It was a great deal. He fired Lou DiBella, only to take less money against Tyson Fury. Why? Because Tyson Fury was inactive, because Tyson Fury wasn't ready for a huge fight. Tyson Fury had ballooned up so much in weight. Fury was on the decline. He was never going to be the same kind of fighter. Look what happened. So he actually took less money to fight Tyson Fury and still got battered. Now, I've been saying for the longest time, way back when, even before Fury got his hands on Wilder, Wilder is a loss waiting to happen. It's going to happen. And of course, when there was talk about him potentially fighting Dillian Whyte, I said Whyte would smoke him because of the styles. There's a reason why Deontay Wilder can't stop himself twerking and wants to be pregnant and all that kind of stuff. But there's a reason why his resume, he's got a lot of fights on his resume and a lot of knockouts. But against who? There's a reason why, that they're all poor opponents. Because the moment he stepped up, he was going to get done. That's what happened with Tyson Fury. And I said that's what would happen against Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. Of course, Anthony Joshua was the biggest story, because especially with the undisputed tag on there, which is why Wilder was offered 100 million. And even now, for those 2 fights with Anthony Joshua for 100 million, compare the money that he got for 3 fights against Fury, still doesn't even cut the 100 million. And he got 2 losses and a draw for his efforts on that one. Don't get me wrong, he got paid very well, of course he did. But Wilder never wanted that fight. And I know some of his Wildettes, his twerk army, were going on for quite some time about how Anthony Joshua's ducking, yada, 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 and there's 50 million is in the bag, and Joshua turned it down. Well, Joshua never turned it down. He said, prove the money. And they didn't do it. But it was Wilder who made the offer. Who's Wilder to make an offer? He's not a promoter. He's not a manager. So who's he to make the offer? It should have been Shelley Finkel or Al Heyman. But it wasn't them. It was Wilder. Prove it. Prove the money. Put it in escrow. Well, they didn't do it. Made all kinds of excuses. Okay, well, let's have a meeting about it. Nah, we're not going to have a meeting about it. So you want me to agree without seeing any kind of contract? Yep. That's what we want to do. Right, jog on then. Clearly you ain't serious. So Wilder, he's turned down numerous offers and that as well, including the 100 million. So do I expect Wilder to take this fight? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Al Heyman, the PBC, Shelley Finkel, spoke to Wilder and said, are you interested in this fight? If Wilder went, yeah, I am interested in this fight, I would like this fight, then they go, okay, let's try and get it on Showtime or Fox. Let's try and keep it on the PBC rather than you go over to DAZN. So if you put out a press release and say, you know what, I'd love to fight Anthony Joshua, but it has to be on my side of the street. Because otherwise, Al Heyman, the PBC, Shelley Finkel, that they can't do it, because then there's a conflict of interest, isn't it? They're saying you can't have this fight unless it's going to be on our platform. They're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. It's something to do with the Muhammad Ali Act. So they get Wilder to do it. So therefore, if Joshua's going to get that fight, he's probably going to have to go over to that side of the street. And I know some PBC fanboys will probably agree that that's okay. Anyway, do I expect to see this fight? Listen, it'd be great if it did. Finally put that whole Joshua and Wilder saga to bed. Now, as much as I believe that, and I've been saying it for years now, that Joshua would knock Deontay Wilder unconscious in the first 2 or 3 rounds. And I've been saying it consistently. I have. But, of course, if Joshua, if he was to try and box with Wilder the same way that he did with Ruiz in the rematch, and the way that he done with Oleksandr Usyk, then there's a very real chance Wilder's going to land that punch, because Wilder fights from range, but he can't fight on the inside. So if Joshua presses forward, Wilder's absolutely screwed. And I've been saying it for a long time, and it took Fury to come along to prove my theory correct. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I know some people say, but he lost to Alexander Usyk. Oh, okay, cool. What? He's lost to a pound-for-pound fighter. Okay, what does that mean? Does Wilder beat Usyk? Not in your life. Not in your life. Oh, well, Joshua, he lost to a fat Mexican in Andy Ruiz Jr. Isn't it strange to call him a fat Mexican, yet he's actually American? That's weird. But, okay, yeah, he did. But then, of course, he beat him in the rematch. But again, does that mean that Wilder definitely beats Ruiz? Well, we haven't seen that fight yet, so we don't know. Which is why Wilder versus Andy Ruiz Jr. is a bit of a talking point, isn't it? It's a fight, it's a big fight as far as the PBC is concerned. So clearly, they see Ruiz as not food for anybody. Pardon the pun. But are we likely to see this fight? I would probably say no. But I think Wilder's probably going to be more susceptible to this fight now his undefeated padded record is no longer available. Okay, he's got 2 losses and a draw on his resume. He's not protecting that O anymore. He's not being wrapped up in cotton wool. The fact that his own manager, Shelley Finkel, way back when Wilder won the belt, said that he's still a baby, he's still a prospect. In other words, making excuses as to why he didn't go for undisputed in a fight against Vladimir Klitschko, even though he was managing Klitschko himself back then as well. So it should have been a very easy fight to make, but always excuses. And I've been saying it for the longest time when it comes to Deontay Wilder, and especially some of his fan base. Of course, he's lost a lot of his fan base now, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them have jumped ship and are now supporting Tyson Fury. But they make excuses all the time. Everything's an excuse. We're starting to see it with some of the Tyson Fury fans. We're starting to see the excuses, aren't we? There always seems to be something. Man protecting. Well, would they now jump back in bed with Deontay Wilder? The uploaders probably will. Of course they will. Because that's how they were making their money. Because unfortunately for them, they threw every other heavyweight under the bus. That I'm pretty sure that they probably don't even talk about other heavyweights in that now. I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't watch any of their channels. I haven't done for probably about 2 or 3 years now. But hey, listen, it'd be great if this fight does happen. Hopefully it does. If not, decent backups with Joe Joyce. That'd be a very interesting one, where Anthony Joshua said that he knocked out or stopped Joe Joyce in the first round when they fought as an amateur. I haven't seen that fight, so I'll have to go looking for that one. But as I said in the previous video, try and stick with the southpaws, Luis Ortiz and Otto Wallin. So that'd be interesting. Anyway, that's if he does take an interim fight, which apparently he could well do, because Alexander Usyk, it looks like he's not going to be getting back anytime soon, because again, a war has no time limit. So anyway, I have to wait and see what Joshua does. If he fights Wilder, fantastic. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.